access to a computer.
My parents bought me I was in 6th grade.
I went to code in college, freshman year, first semester, intro to computer science.
I wrote a program of tic-tac-toe.
It was pretty humble beginnings. I think the first program I wrote asked things like, what's your favorite color? Or how old are you?
I first learned how to make a green circle and a red square appear on the screen.
The first time I actually had something come up and say, hello world, and I made a computer do that. It was just astonishing.
Learning how to program didn't start off as wanting to learn all of computer science or trying to master this discipline or anything like that. It just started off because I wanted to do this one simple thing. I wanted to make something that was fun for myself and my sisters. And I wrote this little program that basically just added a little bit to it. And then when we learned something new, I looked it up, either in a book or on the internet, and then added a little bit to it.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something, or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned, and I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but what isn't?
A lot of the coding that people do is actually fairly simple. It's more about the process of breaking down problems than, sort of coming up with complicated algorithms.
You don't have to be a genius to know how to code. You need to be determined.
Addition, subtraction, that's about it. You should probably know your multiplication.
You don't have to be a genius to code. You have to be a genius to read.
Even if you want to become a race car driver or play baseball or build a house, all of these things have been turned upside down in software.
What it is, computers are everywhere. You want to work in agriculture? Do you want to work in entertainment? Do you want to work in manufacturing? It's just all over.
When I was in school, I was in this after school compliments kids, and people found out they laughed at me and all these things. I'm like, nah, I don't care. I think it's cool, and I'm learning a lot. And some of my friends have jobs.
Our policy is literally to hire as many talented engineers as we can. The whole limit of the system is just that there just aren't enough people who are trained and have these skills to
Get the very best people. We try to make the office as awesome as possible.
Fantastic chef.
Free food,
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
free laundry.
Even places to play, video games, and scooters. There's always kind of interesting things. Around the office, a place to play or relax. Go to family work.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer coding is an incredibly important skill to learn.
I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands. I think we're the first generation in the world that's really ever had that kind of experience.
just to think that, you can start something in your college dorm room, and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
I think it's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars. That's it.
software and computers, it used to be that was just kind of a separate area of the world, but now software touches all these different things that you use.
I think if you look in everything, I mean, there's more phones and tablets and laptops and websites, and everybody's on social media, and I mean, it's just all these different things, and everything's just moving faster. So just being in a position to kind of understand that language that's going to be the future, I mean, I think it's a good thing to do.
It's absolutely crucial to know how to code and to understand how technology is built, even if you don't choose to, make a living or be a full-time software developer. Understanding how software works, which is something that affects everything around you, from your purchases to, how you eat and just how everything works nowadays. It's really important to be able to know how it works so that you are not sort of a victim of other people's choices.
It's important for these kids, right now, starting at 8 years old, to be a citizen on this planet. Hey, whatever country you're from, to read and write code.
If you wait until you're an adult, you probably will never do it.
I always felt like if I didn't learn how to program, it would be like not learning how to read. The future would just be closed to me.
When I think about what we're going to be teaching in schools 5, 10, 15 years from now, I definitely think that computer science, or at least basic programming, is going to be as important of a skill as being able to do basic reading and writing. And I think we're going to look back and wonder why it took us so long to get to that point.
I want to ask you to go to the Hour of Code this week, and to let anyone you know who needs to learn a lot more about computers to go to the Hour of Code. This is a great, free, voluntary opportunity to learn from the very best, to make sure that every American understands a lot more about computing, and to help all of us, at no cost, acquire computer literacy. So encourage all your friends to go to the Hour of Code this week.
I think everybody in this country should learn how to program a computer, should learn a computer language, because it teaches you how to think. And so I view computer science as a liberal art. It should be something that everybody takes a year in their life. One of the courses they take is, learning how to program.
Hi, I'm Leah. And I'm Tanya. And we're lucky enough to be studying computer science.
Hi, I'm Tanya.
We think it's terrible that 90% of schools don't teach it.
They definitely didn't offer it at my high school.
Thanks. So we're trying to make this video to show that anybody can learn. We want to get 10 million students to do the Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
The Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
The Hour of Code! How do you get him to get to the sunflower? He needs to do some actions.
I got it.
Hey! And then we'll run it and see what happens.
Amazing.
There we go.
You just wrote your first program.
I wrote it?
Yeah. This is the code that you just wrote.
Very awesome.
I thought code was FBI hacker symbols and stuff.
A little bit of problem solving, a little bit of logic. It's like instructions.
Programming is a lot easier today.
Don't just play on your phone, program it.
All right.
Awesome.
How does someone go about getting a job?
Maybe take an online class, find a class at a community college. Get one of the best paying jobs in the world.
I think medicine's moving into the whole computer age.
Technology touches every part of our lives. If you can create technology, you can change the world.
So we're excited that you are participating in today's Hour of Code.
We just did 2 lines of code. 4 lines.
7 lines.
5 lines.
Escribir 25 líneas de código. 5 lines. 60 lines of code.
99 lines.
60 lines. 18 lines of code.
75 lines of code.
Doesn't matter how old you are.
Todos lo pueden hacer.
The Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Ya programme a code. The Hour of Code. The Hour of Code. The Hour of Code.
Whether you're a young man or a young woman,
whether you live in a city or a rural area.
Everybody in this country should learn how to program a computer.
And I just completed the hour of code.
It's actually really easy to learn.
Girls should learn this too.
Understand that language, that's going to be the future.
Anyone can learn computer science. And you can learn too.
Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all of y'all. I'm learning.
Give it a shot.
Here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Senator Cory Booker, and I just finished a few lines of code in honor of Computer Science Education Week. Learn how to code with me and others at learn.code.org.
Hi, everybody. This week, I'm proud to join the students, teachers, businesses, and nonprofit organizations taking big new steps to support computer science in America's schools. Learning these skills isn't just important for your future, it's important for our country's future. If we want America to stay on the cutting edge, we need young Americans like you to master the tools and technology that will change the way we do just about everything. That's why I'm asking you to get involved. Don't just buy a new video game, make one. Don't just download the latest app, help design it. Don't just play on your phone, program it. No one's born a computer scientist, but with a little hard work and some math and science, just about anyone can become one. This week is your chance to give it a shot. And don't let anyone tell you you can't. Whether you're a young man or a young woman, whether you live in a city or a rural area, computers are going to be a big part of your future. And if you're willing to work and study hard, that future is yours to shape. Thanks, everybody.
What do you want to be when you grow up, Olivia?
An astronaut. I want to be a fashion designer.
A basketball player.
I want to be an actor.
A doctor. A teacher.
A chef.
An artist.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A mermaid.
Do you know what a computer programmer is?
Yeah, no. No.
No. I think it's something that has codes and is able to decode a mystery.
I think that they...
Wait, what?
Computer programmer?
No.
Nowadays, just about everything requires some form of programming. So, what is it? Programming is basically explaining to a computer what you want it to do for you.
When you're programming, you're teaching possibly the stupidest thing in the entire universe, a computer, how to do something.
Programming is one of the only things in the world that you can do where you can sit down and just make something completely new from scratch, you know, whatever you want.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something, or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned, and I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but you know, what isn't?
A lot of the coding that people do is actually fairly simple. It's more about the process of breaking down problems than sort of coming up with complicated algorithms as people traditionally think about it.
Well, if it's fairly simple, why aren't there more of us doing it? Over the next 10 years, there will be 1.4 million jobs in computer science, and only about 400,000 grads qualified for those jobs. That's a shortage of 1 million people. So, how do you start?
I was obsessed with maps when I was a kid, and cities specifically. So I taught myself how to program. I had a very clear goal of what I wanted to do, which is to see a map of the city on my screen and play with it. Put things on the map, move things around the map. See what was happening in the city, how it worked, how it lived, how it breathed.
The best early thing was actually using software to decide when the classes in my school would meet. And that put me in a position to decide which girls were in my class.
The first program I wrote asked things like, what's your favorite color? Or how old are you?
I first learned how to make a green circle and a red square appear on the screen.
The first time I actually had something come up and say, hello world, and I made a computer do that. It was just astonishing.
When I finally learned a little bit of programming, that blank wall resolved into a bunch of doors. And you open them, and finally you start to open enough doors that the light comes in. And to me, a finished program is like a structure filled with light. All the corners are illuminated. You understand the structure of it. It's a really serene feeling to have completed that.
It took me some time to realize that creating things with your hands or creating code, creating programs, is just a different way to express creativity. I think right now there's a big emergence of the culture of making. People who make their own scarves and hats, people who write their own apps.
Now it's just limited by your imagination and sort of what kinds of ideas what kind of understanding can you build into the computer so that it can do these things that were previously impossible.
All great things are built in teams when you collaborate with other smart people.
You're testing your ideas, you're stimulating each other. That's what makes us successful. It's not some flash of brilliance by somebody who then codes 24 hours a day for 3 weeks. It's what happened. The magic happens when we're all on the same page, collaborating and building something together.
There's a much greater need in the world for engineers and people who can write code than there will ever be supply. And so we all live these very charmed lives. To get the very best people, we try to make the office as awesome as possible.
We have a fantastic chef,
Free food,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
free laundry,
snacks, even places to play and video games and scooters. There's all these kind of interesting things around the office and places where people can play or relax or go to think or play music or be creative.
I went on the Bureau of Labor Statistics for the United States, and there's about a third of the pie that's all the things you would expect. It's, they're working in the government, they're working in typical technology jobs. But then, like, the rest of the pie, and it was the majority of the pie, just split down into these little teeny slices of every industry imaginable. And what it is, computers are everywhere. You want to work in agriculture? Do you want to work in entertainment? Do you want to work in manufacturing? It's just all over.
Here we are, 2013. We all depend on technology to communicate, to bank, information, and none of us know how to read and write code.
So you guys, what else? Who else has an idea of what we can change with our programming? What else can we do? Tiffany?
What I saw my students take away from using Scratch and programming in our classroom is that they were willing to push through problems. It really builds critical thinking, it builds problem solving, and it's something that they can then apply to math in the classroom or their reading skills. We integrated science with this programming, and I saw my scores go up 30%.
When I was in school, I was in this after-school group called the Whiz Kids. And when people found out, they laughed at me and, all these things. And I'm like, man, I don't care. I think it's cool. And, I'm learning a lot. And some of my friends have jobs.
It's important for these kids. It should be mandatory to be a citizen on this planet, to read and write code.
I just think you have to start small, right? And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about computer science and programming overall is that you have to learn this big body of information before you can do anything.
You don't have to be a genius to know how to code. You need to be determined.
Addition, subtraction, that's about it.
You should probably know your multiplication tables.
You don't have to be a genius to code. Do you have to be a genius to read? Do you have to be a genius to do math? No. No. I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer programming is an incredibly empowering skill to learn.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands. I mean, I think we're the first generation in the world that's really ever had that kind of experience.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You know, you're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
I think it's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars. That's it.